Well, as we're ready to say goodbye to 2019, we're looking ahead to the new year and the new decade. But January 1st is also the start of a new astrological year. And here to help us determine what's in the stars for 2020 is astrologer Jay Cook from Pixie Dust Boutique in downtown Sarasota. Now, how is the astrological calendar different from the calendar we're so familiar with, Jay?
Okay, so the astrological calendar is not so much different as it just gives more insight. So where the calendar is just focused on what day of the year we're on, the astrological calendar tells me things like what relationships each planet has, excuse me, to other planets in the sky. So like Mars is a relationship to Saturn, and whether it's harmonious or inharmonious. And these types of things allow me insight into what's happening during the day.
Now, how are we affected by the moon?
So the moon controls the ebbs and flow of events and our moods. Personally, it's really our unconscious mind, our instincts, our emotions. It's not something we're particularly aware of on a day-to-day basis because it just happens to be so in touch with our own inner natures. But on a personal level, it does affect us tremendously.
So how about on a general level, like all of us?
So on a general level, it will influence events, the types of people you run into, the types of situations you find yourself in, and those events will be in accord with the signs. So just the same signs as the ones you were born into, like Aquarius or Cancer, etc. When the moon is in those signs, we will be influenced by events in the nature of those signs.
And relationships?
And so relationships, it's interesting because we're going into the new year, and Venus is in Aquarius. Aquarius is very much concerned with sharing center stage with the partner, with the romantic interest in order to grow together. So it's going to be a great time to grow together, to encourage the partner's ideas, to share center stage. If you have business partners, social groups, it's going to be a good time for that as well.
So you can use this information to really make decisions about your life in the coming year.
Exactly. It's really all about taking advantage of what's in the stars now. When we are presented with an opportunity, like the Venus and Aquarius, then it's a great time for us to go out and discover ourselves through a group, what we love and our own self-worth, and develop that through a group setting.
Does it tell you also how to direct your career, how to make career decisions?
Yes, and interestingly enough, we have a lunar eclipse coming up in Cancer, and that's going to be on the 10th of January, so right into the new year. And then what we're going to find out with that is that when we strengthen our private life, when we get our home life secure, then we get to build and go out into the world and accomplish more. So now is going to be a real time about getting that home life taken care of.
Get your honey-do list checked off by the 10th.
Yeah.
Be nice to that person sitting next to you, yes.
Yeah.
So if we want to have our own charts done, do you do that?
Yes, I do natal charts, I do transits, I do progressions, so we can really sit down and go over anything you want from your spiritual mission, your destiny, how to discover those parts of yourself that have been repressed since childhood, everything.
So if I want to get my chart done, what do I have to bring when I come to you?
Just the place of birth, the time of birth, and where you were born. So that's it. So time, date, and place.
So it's really about analyzing what's happening, celestially, and how it then relates back into our lives?
Exactly, that's it. And as an individual, so when we do the natal chart, we're just looking at the map of the heavens at the time of your birth, which will not be repeated for thousands of years.
Oh,
so
wow.
when you put it in that way, you can see just how important it is to see what the sky is doing in relation to your own personal chart.
So you can predict the future by looking at this?
There are methods to predicting events, but I mean...
Could you tell if I were going to get married next year?
We could tell if it's possible.
You got to wear your red underwear, you got to eat the
Red
grapes.
underwear, white outer garments.
We could see if opportunities would present themselves, yes.
Well, as we go into January 1st, I know that you have an image that is from the calendar that shows, you had mentioned that the astrological calendar will show you what's happening. I know so little. Would you kind of explain a little bit about what some of those symbols mean? And this is what's going to be happening, right, on the 1st?
Yes, on the 1st, what you can see is that the moon at 11:40 at night, I believe it is, will be entering Aries. So the astrological calendar just tells me, hey, the moon is making a transition. It's going from Pisces, where right now we're feeling the future at midnight when we come into the new year. And then, as you can see later on that night, it's going to transition into Aries. It's going to be about taking what we felt and then bringing it out into a more active phase. So we planted the seeds on the new year, and then the next day we're going to be charging forward with those.
Does this mean that this next decade is going to be very different from the last one?
Well, it just means that the character of the now, how we enter the decade. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we won't experience a lot of the same cycles as we do. But yes, it will have its own character. It will be unique.
But we'll be better prepared for it if we have our chart done and we can see what's
You'll
coming?
always be better prepared if you have your chart done, yes. That's for sure.
That sounds very exciting.
Do you allow it personally to influence decisions that you make? Like, oh, this might not be a good time for me to look for a new home or to buy a new car or to change
or
my
get
relationship.
married.
Yes, exactly. And the more I follow it, the happier I am, because whenever I used to just try to do my own thing, I let my North Node in Aquarius, my will flare up, and I tried to, cheat universal timing, and it just doesn't seem to work.
You can't cheat universal timing.
Can't fight the moon.
You have to work with what's at play right now.
Very interesting. Well, thank you so much. That is
You're welcome.
fascinating.
Thanks for having me
wow. Let's see. What have you got to bring down to get your chart done now?
So your time of birth, your date of birth, and your place of birth.
Okay,
That's
I'm going
it.
to look that stuff up. Thank you
right.
so much, and Happy New Year.
Thank you.
And you can find Jay at Pixie Dust Boutique on Main Street in Sarasota, or you can go online to pixiedustsarasota.com, and you can find him on social media at JSUN Astrology.